Here we are taking a look at lesson 16 in module 4. This one is all word problems. And as you look over this, the first one, it's got some space to it. Let's take a look at number 2. It has part A, B, C, D, and E. That one's really quite big. So I'm going to go ahead and just start with doing A, or number 1 with you. And then we'll move on and we'll do part of number 2. Not all of it, just part of it. These ones get fairly complicated, and it's to kind of show you the different ways that you can kind of take apart a word problem. This first one here, Anthony bought an 8-foot long board. So let's draw the board. And I'm going to see if I can kind of go brown or something like that, so it's kind of a different color. We're going to go gray. Okay, here we go. So here's the board, and use your imagination. That's 8 feet long. And it's saying that he cut the 3/4 of the board and built a shelf, and then he gave 1/3 of the rest of it to his brother for an art project. How many inches long was the piece that Anthony gave to his brother? So as we've been doing, we want to kind of note how much are we working with all together here. This is 8 feet long. And I'm going to go a little bit darker color where we go through and we break it into fourths. So I know fourths, I'm going to have half, and then half of half, and the other half of half. And now we've got fourths, and they're fairly evenly spaced. And we know that 4 goes into 8 2 times, so that means that each of these is 2 feet long. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Each one is 2 feet long. And we know that 3/4 of it, so 3/4 of it became a shelf. So all of this became a shelf. So that left this 2 feet right here, 2 feet. And this is the remaining right here, the rest of the brother, the rest received by the brother for an art project, 1/3 of it. So let's break it into thirds. So now this piece has been broken into thirds, and we have to figure out how many inches that is. So 2 feet, I know 1 foot is 12 inches, so 2 feet is going to be 24 inches. And I'm going to put it over 1 because we are working with fraction here. And so we want to say 1/3, here's the word of, 1/3 of 24. So we can go like this, 24 times 1 is 24, 3 times 1 is 3, or we could have divided first and gone 3 goes into itself once, 3 goes into 24 8 times. We could also look at it this way if you went ahead and just did the multiplication, and you could say this out loud is the same as 24 divided by 3. And it's a math fact. 3 times 8 is 24. So how many inches of board did his brother receive? So Anthony received, oh wait. Nope, it's gave. He gave. We don't know his brother's name. Gave 8 inches. There we go. All right, let's take a look at the next one. We have Riverside Elementary School, and they're holding a school-wide election to choose a school color. 5/8 of the votes were for blue. 5/9 of the rest of those remaining were for green. And then those remaining after that were for red. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with just a really neutral color again, because that's what we're doing, is we're voting for colors here. So let's go with gray, because it's not really any color. So here's the school. All their votes. And we're starting right here with 5/8. So let's break it into eighths to start with. So we know that we're going to have 7 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines. And look at how much too big I made this, so I can fix that. So let's see, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines. I'm probably going to need another one. So I'm going to erase it from this point. Cruise on around. That. And now I'm going to make another line to end it. There we go. So now we have, let's count them just to make sure we did this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have our eighths. Now let's designate 5/8. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And all of those votes all together were for blue. So we'll get some blue here. Now we take a look at what's next, and it says 5/9 of the remaining were for green. So 5/9 of the remaining were for green. So let's go with some green here. So these right here, now there's 1, 2, 3 of them, and it says to make them into ninths according to this. And I know 3 times 3 would get me 9. So if each one of these becomes worth 3. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3 of them. And it says that 5/9 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to come from here. That 5/9 were green. 5/9 green. And so that leaves over here our last color, which happens to be a red. So these ones right here, it says the remaining 48 votes. So I'm going to move up here to designate this one. That this is equal to 48 red. And let's see how many spaces that is. That's 1. This one's red. This one's red. This one's red. This one's red. So they want to know how many votes were for blue. Let's start by figuring out then how many, if each one of these pieces right here, if these are reds, and we know that that's a total of 48, I can divide 48 easily by 4. 4 goes into itself once, 4 goes into 8 twice. So that means right there that each one of these is worth 12. That means that if this right here, this is a block, and these blocks are the same. Do you see how we started these in gray? Each one of these gray blocks is worth 3 sets of 12. So we know that 3 times 10 is 30. 3 times 2 is 6. So that means that each one of these blocks right here is worth 36. This one's worth 36. This one is worth 36. Now let's switch to blue and label these other ones, because that's what the question is asking, is how many votes were for blue. So this one right here, this is 36, 36, 36, 36, 36. And how do we figure out the total on that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 squares are worth 36 each. So if we go 36 times 5, we'll then know how many votes were for blue. 5 times 6, 30. 5 times 3, 15, 16, 17, 18. 180 blue votes to answer that question. Now the next one says how many were green. And we know that each one of these squares right here is 12. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 12 is what we're looking at this time. So if we go 12 times 5, we can also think 5 times 10 is 50. 5 times 2 is 10 more, so that's going to get us 60. Or you can look at it, 5 times 2 is 10, carry a 1. 5 times 5 plus 1 is 60. So 60 votes for green. So what's happening here is we're kind of taking it apart and getting down to just what is the smallest unit, and then making those units come together so that we can see the totals of things. So if you just break it up like this, it kind of makes it easier to see. If every student got 1 vote, but there were 25 students absent on the day of the vote, how many students are there at that elementary school? So if we look at this again, and we can figure out 36 times 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there was 36 times 8 is how many votes that there were. 36 times 8. I know 6 times 8 is 48. Carry 24. 25, 26, 27, 28. So 288 votes. But they're asking how many students go to that school, which means we have to add 25 to that. And I know, let's see, if we've got 5 plus 8, it's going to be 13. 8, 9, 10, 11. Carry, that's going to be 313 students total. And then the other questions that they ask that I'm not going to go through. 7/10 of the votes for blue were made by girls. So then you're going back to your chart and you're kind of figuring out how many for each color, going from there. And then did girls who voted for blue make up more or less than half of all the votes? And supporting it with a picture. And how many girls voted for blue then? So here's what you're looking at for your homework today. Right there, 1 word problem. 3/4 of the boats in the marina are white. 4/7 are blue. Of the remaining, I'm going to underline that word because that's important. Of the remaining are blue, and then the rest after that. So you're breaking it up 3 times and kind of looking at how many are there for each of them. So again, you're going to start with your rectangle, break it into 7ths, or 3/4, so 4ths first, and then the 7ths, and then just the rest. See you later.